Good afternoon, and welcome back to another episode of Bang Bang Anonymous. I believe this is the fourth one of these I'm doing. Glad to be back. I'm actually recording from my hostel in Copenhagen this afternoon. I was sitting here waiting to press record with a few ideas on kind of what I wanted to chat about and what I felt like sharing, what was on my heart, and just have been met with this massive resistance to actually hit the record button and to get this thing going. So, I just wanted to share that and a few things I'll touch on in this little discussion between me and me. But one of the things that I wanted to start with is actually from the James Clear. James Clear is the author of Atomic Habits. He does an incredibly successful newsletter. It's extremely brief and it's extremely valuable. The content is basically this. It's called the 3-2-1 newsletter. He offers 3 ideas from himself, 2 quotes from others, and 1 question that he'll pose to the reader. The part that jumped out at me today was from a quote, and I'm going to forget her name, so I'll have to tag it in the comment or in the notes later. But essentially, this concept that the universe, it supports courage, right? Like the universe is a big fan of courageous acts and of those who are taking leaps of faith, if you will, right? And the biggest trick, right, or maybe the biggest joke, if you will, if you want to look at it from that perspective, is that when we're going to take that leap of faith, when we're looking off the edge of the cliff and we don't know what's down below in the abyss, there is no safety net, right? There is no bed of feathers until you've taken that leap, right? Until you've stepped off the cliff, until you've thrown caution to the wind, if you will. Apologies for the cracking in my voice. I actually woke up this morning just about as sick as a dog. I've been traveling through, I'll get to that in just a second. But anyway, with this quote, the idea of taking the leap of faith, the idea of the universe supporting courageous acts and courageous, dreams, right? That's the idea. Chasing your dreams is going to be rewarded with essentially unlimited support by the universe, right? What it reminds me of, and I thought of this quote as I sat here in front of the camera for literally moments, just kind of waiting to hit record, is that, and I've heard it on at least one podcast, and honestly, I don't know who the original author of the quote is, but it says something along the lines of, the magic that we're seeking rests in the work that we're avoiding, right? So that thing that we're putting off or that we're afraid to tackle or to start, that's where the magic is, right? That's where the dreams exist. That's where the growth happens. So that the quote that I started with about taking the leap of faith and that, under the abyss or deep down in the abyss, there actually is a safety net. There is a bed of pillows, a feather bed, if you will, that doesn't exist until you've taken the leap of faith. That kind of just got me thinking. There was another thing that I saw today, and again, I think the universe is kind of just knocking on the door for me a little bit, and I'm not entirely sure what exactly it's pointing me toward, but we'll continue to get into that here in a minute. One of my favorite quotes of all time, and I've talked about this, I think in the last episode, is the Marcus Aurelius quote, "Don't worry about the future. You will come to it if you must, armed with the same weapons of reason that now protect you against the present." Bill Burr, and I just posted this on my Instagram story because I love it so much, he basically coined that or kind of distilled that down into just a quick 2-3 liner. He said, "You're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. And if you're not going to be fine, don't fucking worry about it. Wait until you're not fine and deal with it then, right? You're going to be fine. And if you're not, you'll deal with whatever that not fine circumstance, scenario is when you come to it, right?" Now, that isn't meant to say let's not set ourselves up for success, right? That isn't to say let's not set our future selves up for success. No, it's just to say that let's not get so consumed by worry that we lose the gifts of the moment, right? The gifts of this present moment, right? Because that's all there is. Look, again, I'm not here to discourage planning and strategy, right? I consider myself a planner and a strategist. I like to operate in a world of structure, right? I think I operate best in a world where there is structure, where I have routines and, dare I say, rituals that kind of keep me balanced. Just before this video, I did my 20 or so minute Vedic meditation, and then I did a 4-minute alignment afterwards, where I just sort of aligned with my purpose and my existence for the moment. And lately, as I mentioned, I was under the weather, so today it was now being love, now being healing. But for the past few weeks, months even, it's been now being love, now being evolution. And I go about my meditation, my Vedic meditation practice, which is 20 minutes every single morning, and then my 4-minute alignment afterwards. I go about that in an extremely ritualistic nature, and that is massively important to me. So again, I'm not here to discourage planning. I'm not here to discourage strategy or rituals or routines. What I'm saying in bringing up that Marcus Aurelius and then Bill Burr bit was that it can't, right? Those plans for the future, they become self-sabotaging in a way if we let them take us away from the joyousness of the moment, right? I am aware that I've been a little bit all over the place in this episode already. So I'll touch on what I really wanted to touch on when I pushed record, and that is this trip that I'm on in Europe, right? So it's something I've been planning for a few months. I've been in the country of Denmark now for about 24 hours. I started out my trip, I flew to Iceland via Iceland Air just to connect and come to the UK. I've got a good friend, Jack, and his wife, Laura, and actually another buddy, Ben. So I got to reconnect with them, all past coworkers and dear friends. So I kind of posted up at their place, got to explore bits of the UK, right? Went up to Edinburgh. One of the first days I was there, went to London and did some exploring with them as my sort of personal tour guides. Went down to the south coast, Cuckmere Haven, got to see those incredible cliffs. So did a decent tour of the UK. I mean, obviously it's a massive plot of land, so to speak. So I haven't explored all of it, obviously, but did a good amount of covered a good amount of ground in that first couple of days, and then took the Eurostar to Paris and was in Paris for 2 nights. Actually did a long run while I was in Paris, which was really cool. It was a stair-step back long run for me, so it was a 12-miler, and just ran along the Seine, and was quite literally cruising alongside the Eiffel Tower and the Grand Palais, and saw the Basilica, the Louvre, all of these, shit we've seen in movies, right? Like, it was pretty cool to just be running around with my phone out, snapping pictures, taking little videos every now and then. So that was many of which I posted as shorts, but extremely enjoyable. Frankly, the highlight of the trip so far. The following day, to do a little bit of self-care, because I did beat the shit out of my body on that long run, and it was frigid, right? I mean, it hasn't been above 34, 35 degrees the entire time I've been in Europe. So bear that in mind when I talk about running 12 miles. It was cold. The following day, I went and got, I was looking at places that do like spa days, so I went and got a deep tissue massage, and it turns out the individual, Jean-Patrick, he was also an Ayurvedic practitioner, so afterwards he let me know. So we did, I went in, did a Swedish spa for about 15 minutes or so, then showered and went in for the deep tissue massage, 90 minutes, and what he let me know is that during the course of the massage, he noticed that I was in need of some Ayurvedic sort of stress release practices. So he just kind of took it upon himself to incorporate that into the deep tissue massage, which is cool. I was all too happy to hear it. And I've got a dear friend, Jamie, who was actually the sponsor that I worked the 12 steps with when I was getting sober in AA, and has been a Vedic practitioner and consultant for many, many years, and actually studied at the California Ayurvedic Institute up in Grass Valley, Nevada City area. Shout out Jamie. And of course I let him know right after the massage. So that was a nice second day in Paris, but it was also freezing cold, raining and snowing the second day that I was in Paris. So that afternoon, I kind of just, after the massage, went back to the hotel, hung out, got some rest, and went out to explore that evening. I went down Champs-Élysées, saw the Arc de Triomphe, and yeah, had a really cool evening, just kind of going out and walking around and exploring the city a bit. I went to the Nike store, and I'm not a huge souvenir guy. You know, this is in fact a travel light trip for me. I've literally, what you see here in the background are the only things that I brought. So for the next couple of weeks, I'm living out of this backpack. It's not a particularly large backpack. I've got a pair of pants, few layers because it is freezing, and then, you know, underwear, socks, t-shirts, etc. That's it though, you know. So quite literally, what you see in the background right now is that's my my supplies, my home for the next however long I'm traveling for. So Paris was incredible. It was, you know, good food. Got to get out for a few runs. Got to see the sights. Took it all in. Pretty quick in and out. And then I took a flight here to Copenhagen. Got in yesterday evening, and as I said, yesterday evening, by the time I got off the train, I'd had a bit of a cough, could feel a little bit of a chest cold coming on. Last night was pretty miserable, frankly. I was, the coughing was extremely painful. Body was hot and then cold and that whole thing. So I think I was just kind of working through a little something. Let myself rest today. I didn't get up until I threw on some Netflix on my phone and just kind of half watched, half slept for most of the morning, and threw the blinds open around 12:30. The sun was out. I'm right here, and I'll show you. I'm on the channel. You can see it right there out the window, I believe. So pretty cool spot actually here in Copenhagen at the Wake Up Hostel. And then what I did this afternoon was went back up to Central Station, which is, you know, not even a 10-minute walk from where I'm staying at this hostel. There's a little, like, you know, there's just coffee shops, tea shops, convenience stores, like a little grocer type thing. Actually, 7-Eleven, funny enough, that's a big thing here. There's like several 7-Elevens. So got some halls, got some juices. I had a vegan smoothie while I was there. Some green mandarin tea for the throat, and that helped. Just and then just, you know, just ton of fluids. Luckily I did bring, and I against my own better judgment, but I'm so glad that I listened. My sister was pretty adamant that I bring some like Tylenol or Advil just in case, right? You never know, right? And I was like, I don't take that shit anymore. And not to say that I never take it, but I very, very seldom take it. But I brought it, and thank goodness, because at some point last night I reached over and was like, okay, the pain in my chest and the headache that I have right now, even with the like tremendous amounts of hydration that I'm doing, were pretty terrible. I was miserable, so I took that, and luckily it allowed me to get some sleep. So glad that I did that. And then yeah, I came back after just kind of walking around a bit. It's frigid out, right? It's windy and it's freezing cold, so I didn't spend much time outside because the cold air was just murder on the lungs. So I came back and did my meditation practice and my alignment practice, and then wanted to knock out one of these videos that I've been kind of, like I said, experiencing some resistance around for not just today, but for a few weeks now. It's been 2, maybe almost 3 weeks since I did one, and the aim is a weekly video, and I'm not including shorts, right? I'm very good about, you know, when I'm out for a run, or if I'm like seeing something interesting or funny or whatever, I'll throw up a short. But when I think about my content that I want to put out there for whomever, but mostly for me, just because these are things that I want to, you know, share and have almost like a digital journal for me. The idea was to do it once a week, and I haven't stuck to that. So this is my throwing myself back into it and course correcting, so to speak. So I'd like to do a few. I will do a few more of these while I'm in Europe. So I'm in Copenhagen until Sunday. Sunday I fly to Budapest. I've heard really cool things about the city. Apparently it's dirt cheap there, so I'll live like a king for a few days, you know, put myself up in a nice place and explore the culture and the food, right? The cuisine. And from there, I was looking at a few places: Barcelona, Berlin, Lisbon came up. The idea of going to Portugal, going to Lisbon, and then driving up or getting some sort of transportation up to Nazaré, where they do the HBO documentary 100 Foot Wave. That seems fucking cool to me. I remember one of the things they said in that HBO documentary was that, when you get to the edge of Portugal, right, and you get specifically to Nazaré, you have to think about what the early European settlers or civilizations thought when they came there, right? Like, think about that. That's as far west as that part of Europe goes. So when you get to Nazaré and you're at these just majestic, profound cliffs, and you see out into this ocean of literally 100-foot, 50, 80, 100-foot waves, you're thinking this is the edge of the world, right? Like, if I go out there, I'm no longer part of this earth, part of this planet, part of this existence. That's what they allude that perhaps the early Europeans thought, and I think that's fucking spot on. It's like, why wouldn't you think that, right? I mean, you're going west further than you've ever been, and you get to this spot where it's like, okay, this is it. This is the end of the world. So I like to think that it'd just be really fucking cool to see that, simply put. So that's something I may do. But I was on Instagram the other day scrolling, as I've been doing a bit more than I'd like to since I've been traveling in airports, etc. I saw a post called the Hawaii of Europe, and it's Madeira. It's an island, I guess, off in the Atlantic, off the coast of Portugal. Technically, it's a Portuguese. It's part of Portugal, and it looks incredible, right? I mean, it looks like pictures and footage that you would expect to have seen from Hawaii. So it's this little island, and I looked. There are flights from Budapest on Thursday of next week, I believe. Maybe, yeah. So I'll have been in Budapest for a few nights, and I mean, it's a 5 or 6 hour flight. Don't love that bit, but it's like $70. It's very, very inexpensive to get there. And I'd imagine, again, it's one of those places that once you're there, you're not, it's dirt cheap. So that's on the list. So anyway, Budapest after Copenhagen, got some options, going to keep that open. But I think, and leave it to me to kind of save my actual truth and vulnerability till the very last. I mean, I've been at this for 17 minutes now. One of the things that I'm experiencing and that is leading me to some internal kind of just, I guess, exploration and questioning of myself is that, like, traveling alone, which I have been now for, 4 or 5 nights, or no, a couple nights, whatever, since I left the UK and went to Paris, and now I'm in Copenhagen. I have been truly on my own, right? I'm texting friends and chatting with my buddy in the UK and some of my friends back in the US, but like, I've been on my own. My meals have been on my own. I'm staying in hotels by myself, hostels, etc. And I'm someone who does enjoy human interaction, right? I would go as far as to say I crave it. But the thing that I'm noticing about myself, and this isn't a terrible surprise because I've known this for most of my life, like, I'm finding myself very shy, right? Like, I'm not putting myself out there, and I don't know what the perfect situation or scenario is to put yourself out there when you're traveling through Europe and you don't know what language people speak and you don't know who's doing what, if they're also tourists and they're also traveling, or if they're just trying to get about their fucking day because it's a Thursday and it's lunchtime and they're going back to work, right? I don't know. But what I'm not doing is I'm not finding myself having a tremendous amount of, like, just interactions with other humans. I'm having some, right? Asking people for directions here and there. I had a couple of kids come up to me that were doing a vlog at the mall in Paris that were asking me about business stuff, so I chatted with them. That was cool, and funny enough, that was one of the mornings that I did. I meditated and I prayed into the universe for some human interaction. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that I'm realizing that at my core, my truth is that I'm a pretty shy dude. I think it's one of those things where a lot of people that know me, and I don't know, right? But I think a lot of people that know me might be surprised to hear me say that, just because I am a high energy guy. When I'm around my people, I'm certainly not shy. I'm certainly not modest or mild, so to speak. But in this kind of completely new terrain where I frankly don't know anyone and I'm out of my comfort zone in just about every conceivable way, not to say that I'm not enjoying myself or that I'm not comfortable, but it's just like going up to a random person here in Copenhagen or trying to make friends here in Copenhagen. It's like, I don't really know how to fucking go about that. That's what I'm saying. So I'm feeling pretty shy, feeling a little bit hungry for some human interaction, just to meet some people and So yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to kind of put that out there. But this has been, I mean, this has been a pretty fucking cool trip. It's been a pretty incredible experience. It's something that I dreamt about. It's something that I manifested when I went to George and Sydney and Jillian. Shout out Nourish Events when I went to their Ayurvedic meditation retreat in Utah last year. It's something that we did a manifestation practice, and this was on the list. This was at the top of the list. Just traveling, having the ability to work remote and travel and see parts of the world that I've never seen and experience things that I've never experienced. And if it's a yes or no question, yes, I am doing that. I see also in myself a little bit of this self-criticism that comes up when I think about myself being shy. I start to kind of slip into that path or pattern of like, okay, let's not get into negative self-talk here, right? Like, let's not start calling yourself a coward or a pussy or anything like that. Like, I don't love that part of my brain, but I do witness it when I'm thinking about like, okay, well, I haven't really found the courage to just introduce myself to a group of random strangers and ask them, what I should be doing. And in fairness, I've had tremendous amounts of recommendations from people who have been to the places that I've been or from the places that I'm traveling in, and all those things. So it's not like this. It's not this unbelievable negativity that's surrounding, okay, Derek, you're kind of shy, but it's just, something that I wanted to put out there, something that I think, if for no other reason, saying it out loud and taking away some of its power is helpful for me. So, that's all I got right now. It's been an incredible trip so far. I'll check back in the next couple of days, maybe for my next destination, maybe from Budapest. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, you know where to leave them. If you have any things that you'd like to hear about from me or any ideas, questions that you'd like me to answer, I'm all for that too. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, bang, bang out.